But let's talk the big match that could be happening at WrestleMania come WrestleMania 39. I don't know if it was specifically stated for that show, but it is a WrestleMania-worthy match, so I would assume if it is going to happen, it could happen this year in, not Texas. Where's WrestleMania this year? in Los Angeles, especially now that The Rock may have apparently fallen through for the show. Stone Cold Steve Austin, we knew there was a possibility of him competing at WrestleMania this year. We knew that. It's been talked about for a while. We've mentioned it here on the show about how he could face John Cena. He could face, I've mentioned LA Knight before, if you want to have him work with someone on the main roster, an active talent. There's a couple different matches you can do. But Fightful Select, to give credit to them, they were the ones to break the story. He was offered apparently an enormous amount of money, quote unquote, for a big match of Mania against Roman Reigns. Very likely for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. So it sounds like to me, I guess this has been in the works for a while. They've offered him money for other matches. I don't know if he entertained the idea or flat out declined it. I'm not sure. The other ideas that were presented to him, maybe for a match with Cena, maybe for a match with someone else. I'm not sure who that person would be. But it sounds like this could be a very big possibility if WWE wants him that badly. And this is a match that was pitched under Triple H and not when Vince was in charge. You could have Stone Cold Steve Austin potentially coming this Saturday, not only being in the match, which I figured was a chance, and we talked about that last week, we'll get that later on. He could win the entire Royal Rumble, his fourth one in Texas, no doubt, almost exactly 25 years removed from when he won in the Alamo Dome in 97. He could win another Royal Rumble and go on to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns for the championship. I have a lot of thoughts in this. I want to get your immediate reaction, Mr. Marceau. Stone Cold Reigns at Mania, yay or nay on that?
Couldn't be more nay on that. I do not want to see him and Roman Reigns at all. It's probably one of the least interesting matches in my mind.
So I won't say it's the most least interesting match for me. I won't go that far. It is a match that sounds interesting, but it's not a match I want to see.
But he has no chance to win. Shouldn't win. Should have zero chance to win. I am so... When I saw that, I was like, that is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard in my life.
Well, what it sounds like to me...
Rock or Cody. It shouldn't be anyone else to face Roman.
Yeah.
I'd rather Jey Uso face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania than Steve Austin.
I would agree with that. I mean, it's at a point now where...
I just feel like they just keep going back to the well. Like, move on. Make new stars. Oh, my God. Like, why do we gotta see fucking Stone Cold against... Because he had one decent match against fucking Theory last year? I mean, when I saw the report, I was so against it. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Kevin Owens match I liked when he faced him last year.
Kevin Owens, my bad.
Yeah, but I have no issue with him being Brock...
No?
What'd you say?
Who faced Theory?
No. So what you're thinking of, he came out the next day because Pat McAfee beat Theory, and then Theory or fucking Vince beat Pat, or all that train wreck, and then he came out afterward and laid out Theory with a stunner. That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I thought something there with Theory, but yeah. Well, no, when I saw that, I was like, hell no.
Yeah, the opposite of Steve Austin's hell yeah was hell no for Mr. Marceau.
Yeah, I'm all set. There's so many other people I'd rather see face Reigns than Steve Austin.
Listen, I have no issue with him coming back for another match because he did look good enough where I'm open to that idea. If he ended his career on top in the main event of Mania against Kevin Owens in his native Texas, in Dallas where he started his career, I feel like that's the perfect way to close it out. Because, I mean, he had the chance to end it on his own terms in 2003, but it was such an abrupt retirement. No one really knew it was his last match aside from him and maybe Rock. I don't remember exactly. I would prefer him end it on that note because it was such a perfect culmination for his career in such a great match moment that exceeded expectations. If he were to come back for another match that were announced, because that was not an announced match, that was an impromptu bout last year at WrestleMania, the expectations and the hype are going to be a lot higher, and he's going to have to live up to a lot more pressure than he would than if the match was impromptu again. So, which is why I don't have an issue with him being in the Rumble. Because if they announced him ahead of time for the Rumble, which I feel like is dumb, because I feel like if he does come out on Saturday, you hear that glass shatter, which we have not had Stone Cold as a surprise entrant in the Rumble ever, because he retired 20 years ago, almost exactly, for Mania 19, the place will go nuts. And he can be in there for a couple minutes. He doesn't have to do a lot. He can sit in the corner for a lot of the time. If he's even in there for 10, 15 minutes, who knows? He should not win the whole thing. It takes away from Cody, who we got another great video package from on Monday's Raw. I would say it almost sounds like, oh, they lost Rock. They know Rock can't make the show, so they called up Steve instead. But per the report, it sounds like this has been in the works for a while, and they've been entertaining the idea of doing Roman and Cody, Roman and Rock, and Roman and Stone Cold. Honestly, if they were to do this match at some point down the road, I think for Mania, it would be fucking dumb. I don't want to see the match. Do I want to see the match? No, because it's very random. There's no story there. Even with Rock, because Rock's a part-timer too. But two things we can guarantee with The Rock, though, which is why I'm open to that match more than the Stone Cold one. As you said, at least there's a story with The Rock, and I know Rock won't win. I can guarantee you with Rock's schedule, he would not win the championship. Stone Cold, I honestly don't know, and that's not a case of him politicking to win the championship. I don't know if he would even want to, but even with Triple H in charge, Vince is still chairman. I don't know. I think there's more of a chance Stone Cold beats Roman, and I just don't like that idea at all. Whoever beats Roman should be a big deal, and it should not be fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you want to do that match as a crown jewel attraction in Saudi Arabia or whatever, depending on how Austin looks in his next singles match, then maybe. But I think for WrestleMania, it's got to be a hard pass. I feel like to pass up the opportunity to do, especially if Rock can't make it. Imagine if Rock can't make it and they called up Stone Cold to face Roman instead, and Cody's just sitting there doing God knows what else. I feel like that'd be so dumb.
No, I completely agree. But I also think the whole Rock thing, honestly, I think the whole Steve Austin filling in for him, or like they're floating this out there, I feel like it could honestly be like a red herring.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
I didn't know. I'm not ready. Like, we didn't know. Like, what do you mean you didn't know? Like, I feel like the whole Rock thing, I feel like him saying what he said, honestly, I feel like it's something that they could do, just like be a diversion that he's going to come back. Because him, like, I didn't know, like, 6 months ago if I was going to come back. Like, this was literally, like, the plan forever. Like, everyone was saying, like, this was, like, the best possible chance to do it. It was definitely rumored. Like, he just randomly out of the blue, like, yeah, I'm not ready. Like, what do you mean you're not ready? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like them throwing the Steve Austin thing out there, and then Rock saying, like, oh, I can't go. Like, I feel like it's all, like, possibly could be, like, a red herring to, like, him coming out. I mean, it's probably not the right way of a red herring, but, like, him saying he's not gonna, and then they're floating out Steve Austin to get our mind off it, and then The Rock comes out.
Yeah, no, I don't think the Stone Cold stuff is a red herring. I think that's legit. I do think there's a chance that match could happen, and I really don't want that. The Rock stuff, I completely agree with 1,000%. As soon as I read that, I mean, it wasn't even as if the excuse was, oh, he's filming a movie at that point, or he's got another obligation, or he's filming season 10 of Young Rock or whatever. No, it said that the report from Meltzer, and again, take this for what it's worth, he had heard from sources, was that, as you had mentioned, Rock did not feel he had enough time to get ready for the match. That, I don't know, has been in the works for, 10 fucking years now? I mean, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, you're telling me this guy doesn't have enough time to get... I mean, listen, I know there's a difference between getting in shape and ring shape. The guy works out probably 18 out of 24 hours of the day. I get that. There's a difference between just being jacked and then being ready for the ring, because he was in great shape come Mania, 28 and 29. He got hurt both fucking times, and I think put the production of Hercules in jeopardy at that point. That was literally 10 years ago, and he was 40, 41 at that point. Now he's 50, 51. So I still want to see Rock and Roman, not more than I want to see Roman and Cody. I just feel like, especially to put a part-timer and prioritize them over a match that makes as much sense as Cody. We'll talk about who wins the Rumble later on, but I feel like to do all this effort, put all this effort into the Cody Rhodes video packages, including the one that we got last night, and then to not have him win, and not only to not have him win, but to have him lose to Stone Cold, who should not be champion. I feel like that's incredibly fucking stupid. I feel like that's such a wasted opportunity. I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree. I mean, we're not going to get in our picks now, but I think, and like you said, I'd rather Jey Uso face Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn. I could probably list like 5 people I'd rather Roman face at WrestleMania than Steve Austin.
I agree, and listen, like I said before, to reiterate, I'm not against the idea of Steve Austin wrestling again at Mania if they want him in an attraction match. It sounds like Cena's locked up with Theory. Austin and Steve would be an attraction. It's not the match that it would have been 10, 15 years ago, so honestly, it's probably better off not happening. Although they don't really need to do much. They could just hit their big moves, and that would be whatever. People would go, they would poop their pants regardless. Myself included, it would be cool to see that. But I think if you really want to benefit the next generation, which is kind of what we got in Raw 30, which we'll get to in just a second, I think doing Cena and Theory would really benefit Theory, even if Theory doesn't win. I know he probably should. I agree with that. I don't know if he will, but it's a match that would benefit Theory regardless, in my opinion. Steve, again, like I said earlier, if you want to put him in an attraction match with another legend, I'm not really sure who that would be. Triple H is done. Undertaker's done. Cena's probably busy doing something else. Goldberg should be fucking done. Like I said, LA Knight comes to mind. Steve Austin and Rollins, that doesn't really make much sense. I mentioned LA Knight because he's so much like Steve Austin. That's the only reason why I pitched that. And I feel like it'd be, if anyone can get a good match out of Steve like Kevin Owens did last year, it would be LA Knight in my opinion. And the promos would be awesome too. So that's just me. But I guess time will tell, and we'll see if we see Steve on Saturday. I don't think we will, or I'm sorry, I think we will see him on Saturday. I don't think we'll see him winning the Rumble, nor should he, because I feel like Roman and Austin, I'm not as against it as you are. I just don't think doing it at Mania is the right call. Maybe it's Steve Austin's last match and he loses and he gets, he puts over Roman on the way out. But by that point, hopefully Roman's no longer champion. Because that's another issue too, dude. It's a lose-lose, because if you put an Austin in there with Roman, Steve should lose. Does that mean Roman's champion for another 6 months? God, I fucking hope not. And then if Steve Austin's champion, first of all, you just wasted a whole reign for Roman Reigns. And then how long is Steve champion? 6 months? Does he show up on the show? We've been through this before with the world titles for 2 years now. It's time to move on. It should be Cody. We'll get to that momentarily.